Hello, this is Ross Bliley from the podcast Pigskin Tales. This podcast is sponsored by Sterling Soap Company. With products sold throughout 41 locations around the globe, Sterling Soap Company has a unique assortment of products to choose from for your loved one for the holidays. Handmade artisan soaps created by Roderick and Amanda Lovin since 2012, these products are affordable and provide great value. Act now and save on your shipping costs. If you purchase $75 or more, your shipping cost is free in the United States. Shop now online at sterlingsoap.com.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Darren Hayes, host of the Pigskin Dispatch and Jersey Dispatch podcast. I hope you've enjoyed another great episode here on Sports History Network. Now, speaking of sports history, this episode was brought to you by Firefly Books, and they have two great ones for you this summer. For basketball fans, they have the NBA 75, The Definitive History by author Dave Zarum, who's appeared on our Jersey Dispatch podcast recently. He tells about the experience, the thrilling journey of the NBA, from its humble beginnings to its modern glory. Uncover the untold stories of triumph, controversy, and the greatest stars of the game. This isn't just a book, it's courtside seats to over 75 years of NBA history. And for the golf enthusiasts, swing into The Golf Round I'll Never Forget by Matt Adams. Relive 50 of golf's most memorable moments through the eyes of the legends themselves. From Garcia's triumph at the 2017 Masters to Nicklaus' miraculous 1986 comeback, it's the closest you'll get to walking the fairways with golf's greatest. Get your summer read on. Grab a copy of NBA 75 or The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, available online or at your favorite bookstore.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hi folks, welcome again to another episode of Pro Football in the 1970s. I'm your host Joe Zagorski, and in this episode we'll be talking about having a new life with a new team. Now, there were several prominent NFL players during the 1970s who were traded or waived by one team and then managed to reestablish themselves as outstanding components to their new teams. The reasons behind their departure from their previous teams are varied, but they are all encompassed by the desire from their previous team to go in a new direction. Now, as it turned out, many of these discarded athletes decided to wear a chip on their shoulders as a motivational factor when going to their new teams. They were simply going to play harder than ever before as they made the best of a new chapter in their pro careers. One of those players was running back Delvin Williams, who was the featured runner for the San Francisco 49ers from 1974 to 1977. But in the spring of 1978, Miami head coach Don Shula was in need of a youthful runner who could be his featured offensive weapon, and Williams fit the bill. Many people derided Shula's signing of Williams, citing that the speedy runner gained only 931 yards in 1977. But Shula stuck to his guns, and Williams signed a Dolphins contract. By the end of his first year in Miami, Williams gained a career-best 1,258 yards as he was named to the All-Pro team. He also scored 8 touchdowns in 1978, and he played in the Pro Bowl that year. Thanks in large part to Williams' efforts, the Dolphins returned to the playoffs for the first time in 4 seasons. Another player who excelled for his new team was Preston Pearson, who played for Baltimore from 1967 to 1969. He then played for Pittsburgh from 1970 to 1974. Following the 1974 season, however, Pearson was waived and he was signed by Dallas in 1975 for the customary waiver fee back then of $100. It might have been the best $100 that the Cowboys ever spent. Pearson played for Dallas from 1975 to the end of his pro career in 1980. He quickly became their designated third down back, and his innate ability to catch passes coming out of the offensive backfield gave his opponents fits. Perhaps Pearson's greatest game was the 1975 NFC Championship game, where his 3 touchdown receptions led the Cowboys to their 37-7 rout of the Los Angeles Rams. Still another player who went from one NFL team to another during the 1970s and who performed well for each was defensive back Mike Sensabaugh. Now, Sensabaugh's story is kind of unique in that he played for both of the Missouri NFL teams, the Kansas City Chiefs and the St. Louis Cardinals. While he was playing for the Chiefs from 1971 to 1975, Sensabaugh intercepted 20 passes. In 1976, he was traded to the Cardinals, where he played until the end of his pro career at the completion of the 1978 season. Sensabaugh managed to pick off a total of 7 passes while he played for St. Louis. He also recovered 12 fumbles during his pro career. Now, rounding out this list is none other than Roman Gabriel, who established for himself a very strong career as the quarterback of the Los Angeles Rams. Gabriel was under center in Los Angeles from 1962 to 1972. But following an injury-plagued season in 1972, Gabriel was deemed to be expendable. He was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles in 1973. Even though he could not turn the Eagles into a winning club, Gabriel nevertheless managed to lead the NFL in passing yardage and touchdown passes in 1973. He was named the NFL Comeback Player of the Year in 1973, but perhaps no player during the 1970s epitomized succeeding at one team, being considered washed up by that team, then going to another team and succeeding again with his new team more than Roman Gabriel. Now, it's important to note that not every NFL player who was ever released or traded to a new team experienced a rebirth of their talents. In fact, the vast majority did not. But for those that did, they substantiated their worth to their new team and thus enhanced their pro football careers. Now, for today's trivia question, it's really not a trivia question, but it's a question nonetheless. Which player or players do you remember from the 1970s that seemed to do better for their new team than they did for their former team? I want to thank you again for listening in to today's episode of Pro Football in the 1970s. Thanks also to listening in to all of the different podcasts on the Sports History Network. I'm your host, Joe Zagorski, and we'll chat with you again soon. Bye-bye.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
The heel gets the heat. The babyface gets the cheers. But the jobber gets, well, the job done. And speaking of jobbers, Barry Horowitz wasn't there to win titles. He was there to build them. By selling every move, every storyline, and every new star that stepped into the ring. He was the secret sauce. And now, he's the headline in his new book titled, Wrestling is My Gimmick, My Life on the Wrong Side of the 3 Count. This memoir is a deep dive into wrestling's most underrated position and the man who made it an art form. Whether you're a fan of wrestling, a fan of sports history, or just love a great story, this book is for you. Again, that's Wrestling is My Gimmick by Barry Horowitz. Grab your copy today before the count strikes 3.